I am really excited that you're here. My name is Justin, Mr. Money Maxwell. If you don't know me, I've been in the stock market for like 30 years now, and I really enjoy making the stock market simple and passive. So that's my goal tonight is we're going to talk about creating some passive income. I like to compare, I don't know if you guys are in the real estate market or real estate investors, but everyone kind of understands real estate. A lot of people don't understand stocks the way that they understand real estate. I like to talk about the stock market in terms that everyone can understand. Let's become a landlord in the stock market. No tenants, no broken toilets, no signing of leases, all of that weird stuff that we don't have to worry about. Everyone knows that real estate is an asset. These are all assets. These are tangible assets. I don't think anyone would argue that if you owned one of these, they would be thought of as assets. Well, the way I like to think of it, stocks are assets too. Now, you can't hold a stock, you can't live in a stock. I get that. But for me, in my own portfolio, I have owned shares of Google since it went IPO. Like it split into Google and Goog. I have both of them. I have hundreds of shares of both of them. They are an asset. Trust me, like in terms of value, I started off with like $8,000 and they turned into $300,000. So stocks are assets too. Microsoft, Amazon, Costco. I have all my favorites here on the screen. I want all of you to start thinking about stocks the same way you think about real estate. They are assets. They're not stocks are not tangible. I agree with you, but they are just as valuable. And if you start thinking of them as assets, you're going to be in a better position. And the reason is because the stock market's pretty mental. There's a lot of mental games to the stock market. So you're afraid. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose money in my stocks. And a lot of times if you are in real estate, you might be losing some money in your apartment complex or your single family home, and you just don't know it because you're not getting up to date appraisals like we do in the stock market. In the stock market, we get instant up, down, profit, loss. You know exactly how your asset is performing, which is not always a good thing. So think of stocks just like real estate in terms of assets. I don't know how much you guys know about covered calls. I'll just tell you a real quick story. When I first started out, covered calls were brought up as the safest option strategy there is. And I agree with that. Covered calls are the safest in terms of risk because you can only get called away on your shares. We're going to talk about what that means in just a second. But selling a covered call is just a strategy where you as the seller are going to collect cash immediately for agreeing to sell shares of your stock at the price you choose within the time frame that you choose. So the way I like to put it in simple terms is you're agreeing to rent out your shares of a company for a higher price. It's almost like a rent to own. Listen, if the stock's let's just say the stock's trading at $100 and you sell the 105 call for 30 days from now, they're going to pay you $100 to sell your shares at $105. And one of the first questions people ask me is, well, if I agree to that right now and it's trading at 100, do I sell my shares at 100 or do I sell them at 105? No, you sell your shares at 105, the strike of that covered call. So you're making $500 on the shares, but you're also getting paid to get into that agreement of, hey, I will rent out my shares to you and I agreed to sell them at 105. So a covered call, the reason it's called cover, you can sell a call. Now don't just sell naked calls, okay? But you can sell a call, but the reason it's called covered is you own 100 shares of the company. All right. And if you don't have 100 shares of the company, we're going to talk about that in just a second. If you own 100 shares of the company and you sell an agreement to rent out your shares at the strike price, at the level you want to sell them at, 105, whenever it is. And right now it's the middle of September. So maybe you're selling them. Hey, by October, if my shares are $500 higher, I'll be glad to give them to you. John, I'm going to give them to you. And in exchange for selling them $5 higher, making that $500, John's going to pay me immediately. He's going to give me $100, whatever the price is. I'm making that number up. We'll look at some specific examples in just a second. So you have to own 100 shares. You get paid the premium immediately. That money hits your brokerage account as soon as you click sell and submit. And you're okay letting go of those 100 shares. Now, we could talk about rolling them a little later on, but the risk to reward. So, the best case scenario with a covered call is that the stock stays at or below the strike price. So, if you sold a 105 call, if the stock stays at 104.99 or below, your covered call is going to expire worthless. You're going to keep that money, you keep the rent that you set out for the shares. And when you keep the rent, you keep the shares. So you can repeat this over and over again. Now, the risk with a covered call, the risk with a covered call, remember, 100 shares. The risk with a covered call is that, hey, you have to sell your shares if the stock goes to $110. All right, you bought it at 100. If it goes to 110, that's $1,000 of share appreciation. You're on the hook to sell it at 105. You don't get that extra $500 of appreciation. So that's the biggest risk with a covered call is, hey, I get called away, and unfortunately, I have to sell it at 105 if the stock's trading at 110. Now, we could talk about later on how you could roll that out to November and you can start making more money and hope that the stock pulls back. But that is the biggest risk of a covered call, is getting called away on your shares. Now, the other risk is if, let's just say you bought the stock at 100 and it drops to 90. Now, a covered call is not going to protect you. It's not insurance on your shares. It doesn't act that way. So there's really no difference between buying, in terms of this risk. If you bought the shares and didn't sell a covered call, you still have that same risk. If the stock goes down, you don't make money. I hope that makes sense. All right. Goodness. I'm on a new computer. Sorry, my mouse is a little sensitive. So covered calls are always sold as the safest option strategy. I know when I first started out, I was with E-Trade, just to tell you how long ago it was. We were paying like $20 in commissions. It was a different world. But they had E-Trade had an investor day. Right, they had this investor day, and I was a new trader, didn't really know what I was doing, so I joined the investor day, and I listened to all these really old dudes talking about option strategies that I didn't quite understand. And they talked about the covered call. And they're like, hey, these covered calls are a great way to make some income on your shares. Just in me not knowing what I was doing, I was like, okay, well, I'll just do exactly what they said. Like I had 15 different stocks. I had 100 shares of each of them, like boring dividend stocks. I just went out and just started selling 20 Delta covered calls on all my positions, not knowing what the heck I was doing, didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I collected the money right immediately. Just like they said, I collected the money immediately. And I started looking at the profit and loss of the options, and they were up one day, they were down another day, and I didn't know what to do because no one ever talked about the profit and losses of a covered call. And that's why I write about, if you follow me now, you know I write about this all the time in Good Kids Trading, in the Discord, in the blog. You have to ignore the profit and loss of your covered calls, because if you don't, covered calls will not be the safest strategy, because you'll look at that covered call and think, oh my gosh, I am down $500 on this covered call. Justin never said I could be down $500 on the covered call. That's not real, guys. It is real. But in terms of the way we're trading them, ignore the profit and loss on the covered calls, because if you don't, just think of it in terms of, hey, where's the stock price? Is the stock at 105 if I sold a 105 covered call? If the stock goes to 110, you're still on the hook to sell your shares at 105. They're not going to take more money from you. Okay, they're just going to exercise the covered call, which was the agreement to sell it at 105. But if you didn't know that, if you thought, oh my gosh, this says I'm down $600 and I still have another 20 days before this option expires, you might actually sell too soon, and you might get nervous, and you might realize that, hey, everyone said this was a safe strategy, and it's not safe if you don't know what you're doing. So ignore the profit and loss in the covered calls, because when the stock moves up and you own shares, you make money. When the stock moves up and you have a covered call, the shares make money, but the call you sold looks on paper like you're losing money. So that's what I'm talking about here. The stock moves up, you sell at the strike price, but it doesn't look like you're making money because you could have sold that call for more money. It's just It's not an illusion, but it can really screw up your profit and loss if you don't realize that. So if the stock moves down, you don't have a covered call, you're just going to lose exactly what, if it moves down a dollar and you have 100 shares, you're going to be down $100. If you sold a covered call, let's just say you sold that covered call for $1 and the stock moves down $1, you didn't lose a thing because the share price went down $1, but your covered call gave you $100 in your account. So the covered call is great if the stock goes below the strike or the stock goes down a little bit. That's why it's just as safe as owning shares. Now, I am covering a lot of information in just like 15, 20 minutes today. If you want my I have a mini series, 3 videos. This is all free. There's no charge here. MrMoneyMaxwell.com/income. You can download, type in your email. You can see 3 videos of where I really dive into covered calls, how I sell them, how I find the stocks that I want to sell covered calls on, how I determine when I should sell them, when I should close them. Just sign up here, MrMoneyMaxwell.com/income. I also have a checklist. If you took my income replacer blueprint or the put selling mini course, I had a checklist for that as well. It's the same principle, but I'm giving you my checklist. It's my exact strategies of how I'm trading this. I don't believe there's any secrets in the stock market. I know a lot of people try to sell you secrets. There are no secrets in the stock market. What I'm doing is super simple. I'm just sharing with you all of the ways. But like I said, I'm not going to cover everything that I cover in this mini series that I have online right here, MrMoneyMaxwell.com/income. Type in your email address and you'll get it. I love that. You guys know I love to talk about real estate and stocks. So in real estate, you buy the rental property, you collect the rent, the properties, they appreciate over time, hopefully the properties, and you have tenants, you have maintenance. The one good thing about real estate versus stocks is you get depreciation on your real estate. You don't get depreciation. There aren't tax savings with the stock market. There's also a lot less headache. So talked about buying shares of stock or just like owning real estate. Think of it longer term. You're going to sell calls for income. So you're going to rent out the shares and the stock's going to appreciate over time too. Like my shares of Google have appreciated over time to large sums of money, a large amount of money. I don't have tenants. I don't have work. Really, all I do is just click a few buttons. I click a few buttons. I have a system. We're going to talk about it shortly. Uh, there's no depreciation, but there's super liquidity. Like if you want to get out of a real estate deal, you're going to have to list it. You're going to have to find a real estate agent. You're going to have to find a buyer, hope someone's going to buy it. They're going to do a home inspection. Like I've been looking for a house in Florida and it's been a nightmare, guys. It's been such a nightmare. I've had 2 home inspections and they were so bad that I had to get out of the deal. So liquidity wise, you click a button, you're out of that stock. Real estate, you don't click a button to get out of real estate. So that's stocks versus real estate. I think there is a really good advantage of owning shares and selling premium. There's extra money in there because options are all overpriced. They're all overpriced. Wait, what? Yes. Options are overpriced because it doesn't just have the intrinsic value. So that means the value of the stock itself. It has extrinsic value, meaning it has volatility and it has time added into the price of the option. So there's extra money just waiting out there for you to sell some premium. So look, if you only own the shares, your profit's going to depend on the stock's movement. We've already talked about that, right? We've already talked about that more. And I don't want you to need me anymore. I want you to be able to sell covered calls. I want you to be able to sell puts without me. Now, everybody needs a little help in the beginning. So that's what the inner circle is all about. Let me show you really quickly. Well, I'll show you how the inner circle is working in just a few minutes. I really want to talk about Delta for just a second, and then I'll shut up. I'll open this up to questions. We'll talk about the stock market. But Delta is really important. And you're like, what is Delta? Delta, like we already talked a little bit about Delta in terms of probability of profit. So you sell that 30 Delta option, there's like a 70% chance it's going to hit your profit target. You sell that 20 delta option, there's an 80% chance that option is going to expire worthless. These aren't my numbers, these are real numbers. You can look them up later. The other cool thing about delta is, let me get a sip of water, I'll tell you. The other cool thing about delta is it slows your position down. So if you buy 100 shares of a stock, I don't care if you buy Walmart, Ford, SoFi, you name the stock, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, it's 100 deltas. You one delta per share. So 100 shares, 100 delta. That means if the stock price goes up $1 and you have 100 delta, your position goes up $1. If the stock price goes down $1, your position goes down $1. All right. You own 100 shares, stock goes down $1, you're down $100. A covered call reduces your delta. What does that mean? That means it slows down your position. Think about delta, just like I have on the screen here. Think about delta like miles per hour of a car. The car's going at 100 miles an hour. I don't know about you guys. Have you ever driven? Don't answer that question. Don't tell me if you've ever driven 100. Don't tell me. I might have. Okay. If you want to stop and you're going 100 miles an hour, it's a little bit harder. But if you sell a covered call, you're slowing it down a little bit. I don't know about you, but if you're risk averse, don't you want to slow down your losses? You have to slow down your profits too. But keep in mind, when we're slowing down our profits, we're getting paid up front, right? We get paid to sell that covered call. So instead of speeding down the highway at 100, you're choosing to slow down just a little bit and collect a payment from someone else. So talking about Walmart again, just gonna talk about Walmart all night tonight. In the mini course, I only talk about Starbucks, so I'm not using the same stock if that makes you feel better. I don't know if you guys like pumpkin spice latte. I think it's gross, but maybe you like it. Listen, 100 shares, get distracted. 100 shares of Walmart. You can see here, I circled it for you. 100 delta. If you don't believe me, it's in the brokerage. Okay, this is a tasty trade, by the way. If I go out, this mouse, I'm gonna have to figure this out. I think there's a setting I can turn it down. Maybe I'm just too excited. Maybe I'm too excited. If you sell a 28 delta, do you see this says 28 delta sell? So you click on the bid here for the 105 cover call. 105 cover call expiring 4 days. Look at the delta. It reduced it by 30. So that means, I'm going to repeat myself, but I'm repeating myself so we just make sure we're on the same page. If I reduce my delta by 30, that means if the stock moves $1 down, I'm only going to lose 70 cents. I've reduced my speed by 30 miles an hour. In exchange for reducing my speed by, 28, not 30. I rounded. Okay, I'm not good at math. I'm a math-based trader who's not good at math, but that's okay. 30 delta down. I got paid $45 to agree to sell my shares of Walmart, $5 higher. So I'd make $500 in share appreciation, and I got paid $45 to slow down my losses and to slow down my wins. That's what cover calls do. They generate income repeatedly. They're called the safest strategy there is because the only risk you have if this Walmart goes to 120 by Friday, you're on the hook to sell it at 105. So that's the added risk. That if you have the shares and the stock goes down, you're still going to lose money either way. So cover calls reduce the speed of your profits, they reduce the speed of your losses, but they pay you. Remember that example where I showed you I'd be down $15 on that stock that I owned 100 shares of? But since I sold options around it, since I sold those covered calls, I'm up like another $700. Now I know some of those were puts. So let's just say I made $300 extra on a stock where I'd be down $15. That's the power of selling options, especially selling the ones that are a little bit out of the money, the 30 deltas, the 20 deltas. I encourage all of you guys to sell weekly premium when there's enough open interest. I was talking to somebody just today about open interest. Like, look at the open interest here. There's 22,000 people interested in buying or selling this option. And someone asked me, they're like, why do I care if there's open interest or not? And I cover this in the mini courses too, but remember, You're not selling, someone is actually paying you when you sell this. There's someone on the other side, like John, Melissa, Nancy, Sam. There's someone like I'm selling my option to one of you guys, or you're selling your option to me. There's someone on the other side. So if you have zero open interest, if there's zero people interested in your option, good luck getting out of that. And the guy told me, he's like, but that's a good thing, right? Because I can set my own price. Yeah, you can. I was like, hey, let's just say you own a 1984 Corolla. You can ask $50,000 for that 30-year-old car. You can ask whatever you want, but that doesn't mean someone's going to buy it for that. I was like, if there's no one interested, you're more than likely going to be getting like $5 in scrap metal for that car. So look at the open interest on all of your options, and if there's open interest and you can sell it for higher than that, it just makes a lot of sense to me. Really quickly, we'll look at a chart in just a second. I'll show you a couple of really cool options that you could sell some covered calls on right now, and then we'll wrap this up. So the good is the covered calls are a great way to generate some extra income. They are mostly passive. Now you have to click some buttons. You don't have to answer the phone. You don't have to do credit checks on the tenants. You don't have to worry about did you pay the homeowner's insurance. You don't you don't have to worry about water main breaks. I'm just thinking of all the things that have come up in my real estate investing. You don't have to worry about the tenant who skipped, the tenant who smoked, the tenant who had dogs that said they didn't have. Okay, so the good thing is they're mostly passive. You get to choose your risk level. So you choose the delta, you choose the strike price, you choose the expiration. You don't have to sell premium all the time. You can use a handy dandy checklist if you like, giving it to you for free. The bad thing is you're limiting your upside. It is true. Like I'll show you in just a second. We'll look at Google. I still own my shares of Google, and it's taking off on me. It's taking off on me, and I'll talk about. Sometimes I have to pay a debit. I don't love to, but talk about that in a second. So you're limiting your upside, and the shares can drop in value. If the shares of the company drop in value, just like if your real estate drops in value, you're going to be down on the shares. Now, you would be down on the shares even if you didn't sell the options too. Anyways, that's what I want to talk about um, in terms of the actual formal, like me going through slides. I'm not that kind of guy. So, if you got, do you guys have any questions so far?
I have a question, Justin. If
Hey, Melissa. Sure.
Hey, first, thanks for doing this. And I did take your cover calls class, and it was super helpful, just like the puts course. So
Good.
my question is, do you always put a 50% GTC after your covered call fills, or do you predominantly play these as an exit strategy of I'm okay with getting called away?
I hate to say that. It depends. It really does depend. So for me, um, I do not. There are certain like tax wise, there are certain positions I don't want to be called away on. And so if I do not want to be called away on a position, if I really don't want to be called away, then yes, I would set up a 50% GTC order. But a lot of the times I don't set up any GTCs at all, and I just watch the charts. Because a lot of times, if I had the GTC, I could rotate it again. You know how we do with our
Mhm,
puts? We
mhm.
rotate it over and over again. So, best practice would be 50%. Now, I have some students who set them up for 75. Now, for me, is he here? No, he's not here. Uh, he'll see this later and know I wouldn't set them up for 75. Like if you want a GTC, set it for 50. If you're okay getting called away, like some of my trades, like Walmart, I'm like, call me away. Call me away so I can sell a 95. Like you, you can look at the chart. Like I keep selling some 95 puts to buy it back at the blue line, but I'm gonna roll this Walmart one more time, and you guys will see it in the Discord. I'm gonna roll it one more time, but I'm fine. I'm fine getting called away. I do not have a GTC. I don't really want a GTC, but I'll tell you what. For Google, oh man, look at this. just keeps going higher and higher. For Google, it would be really good to have a 50% because if you had a 50% and you got like 4 down days like this here, you could probably have gotten out of this. Okay. You got out of this and then you had an opportunity to sell another covered call. So my answer to you is a lot of the times I set up a 50% GTC and I just look to get back in it. If I'm the main exception to this is a great question. The main exception to this is if I'm looking for like a dividend. Like
Yeah.
if the stock has a dividend coming up and I really just want to steal the dividend, I just won't set up a GT. Like I would buy the shares of the company. I would sell the next Friday's covered call and I wouldn't set up a GTC and I would hope I get called away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have one
Nancy, you're
question.
off mute.
I have one question. It's Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
I just wondered what is the blue line the 100?
Yes. Yes, the blue line's the 100, the red line is the 200.
So is that SMA or EMA?
Great question. There is there's a lot of debate about this and I need to stick it in the chat. I use the 100 and 200 SMA.
Okay.
Now mine's a little bit different and I have a guide. I'll throw it. Oh, you know where it is? I know exactly where it is. Okay, Zoom toolbar. Go away for a second. Um, Click on
I
this guide.
often use
If you
I
go to
often
Mr.
I use TradingView as well. I often use the EMA, but I'm
Yeah,
open to
click on
listening.
this. If you want my lines look a little bit different, and I'll answer your question in a second, but you can look on mrmoneymaxwell.com/income. I have the exact way I set up my moving averages here. Totally free. You can check it out. So 100 and 200 SMA, just a simple moving average. Now
Okay.
I used 10, 20, and 50 EMA. Like the shorter time frames, I
Great.
use the EMA just to get because it actually moves a little bit faster
It
than
does.
SMA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love the 10, 20, and 50 EMA, and I love the 10, the 100 and 200 SMA. I love that
Okay.
question
No,
because like I love buying off the blue line. I don't know if you. I don't think you. I don't think I know you, Nancy. So like I love buying off the blue line for Apple. Like I buy off the 100 SMA. Like I've been doing this since like I don't know 2018 or something. But every time I bought Apple off the blue line, it's been really good. Now Apple, I don't know if you guys have been following Apple, but Apple was just on the blue line like in August. Like the stock market went higher and Apple it just finally followed along. So like this is another great buy. I haven't even put the blue line. I haven't even put the circle here where I bought a little bit more Apple right here off the blue line. So any
I
other
have some
questions?
Apple. I don't have very much, but I do have some. But yeah.
Buy it off the blue line. It's worked really well for me since 2018.
No, I appreciate. I just was curious. I figured the blue was 100, but I just wondered if
It
it was
is. Yeah, that's a great
SMA.
question. The blue, I like to buy off the. I like to buy off the blue line. I also sell off of the moving averages too if I need to. Like you'll in the mini course, I talk about how I use some of the longer term moving averages for targets to the upside of choosing my strikes.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Let's talk about if you guys have questions, you interrupt me at any time. A couple of stocks that I really enjoy selling cover calls on every single week. Every single week. SoFi. I've already talked about SoFi. So I've been buying SoFi. SoFi. Like I'm hoping that SoFi turns out to be the next Robinhood because do you guys remember trading Robinhood around 20? Like we were trading the heck out of Robinhood around 20, and now it's 120. So hey, SoFi, if you're listening, can you pull a Robinhood? It kind of looks like it's trying to. Oh, maybe I might be a little optimistic. It is late. I'm not drinking, I promise. I love selling cover calls on SoFi, weekly cover calls. Let's hop over to Tasty Trade. Let's just look at SoFi for a second. I don't even know. I might have some right now. Oh no, I only have leaps. I only have leaps right now on SoFi because it just keeps running off. You buy 100 shares of SoFi. Look, 100 shares of SoFi. 4 days from now, I'm talking to you guys on Tuesday. If you're watching this on a recording, Tuesday. If you sold this Friday's covered call, like you buy it at 27.50, you sell this Friday's covered call, you can get 34 cents for selling SoFi $200 higher. Now, if you add these up, the one thing I didn't cover, and I think it's probably implied, I think you guys already know this, you're probably way smarter than I am. But every time you sell a covered call and you collect 33 cents, and you collect 33 cents, and you collect 33 cents, that adds up to a dollar. 3.33 adds up to a dollar. Duh. Okay, but it's reducing your cost basis. So if you sell enough covered calls on a stock, you start chipping away at the cost basis. So the broker might say you bought it at 28.50, but you know if you sell 3 of them for 33 cents or you sell one of them for a dollar, then you're chipping away at your cost basis. So that's another great thing. Long story short, I love SoFi for weekly covered calls. Just giving you guys all my trades. I don't care. Like, there's room for all of us. Okay. Talked about Ford. It's boring. We'll look at it in a second. This D Wave stock, let's look at QBTS. This is, oh, come on. Am I the only one that says come on when I'm doing it wrong? Am I the, like, I know I'm doing it wrong. I didn't put my mouse in the right place. Hey, D Wave is looking pretty good. Bought 100 shares of this one and I sold the 19 cover calls just this week. Collected 50 cents. Hey, guys, if you sell 2 cover calls for 50 cents each and you bought the shares at 17.50, you will have effectively bought the shares at 16.50. And
Yeah.
then if you sell another 2 50-cent cover calls, it's going to be 15.50. It's going to just keep going down. This is another really great cover call. AT&T, okay, it's more boring. AT&T's not paying as much, but there's still a little bit of money in AT&T. And AT&T pays a dividend, right? So your dividend stocks that are more boring, they're not going to pay as much premium. But sometimes you want to mix things up. I like to have multiple stocks. I like to have some boring ones. AT&T, Ford, Verizon. Verizon's another one. You can sell weekly. These all have weekly options. The reason I'm bringing these up, these all have weekly options, and you're going to see like Verizon's not going to be as quite. Verizon's not going to have as much open interest, but there's plenty. You see, there's plenty. Like, okay, there's 228 on this one, but if you go into what's a really, I got to be careful. I don't want to call out specific people. There's some options that just aren't maybe like a weekly on AT&T. Here's one, like one, which okay, 5. There's 5 open interest on the 3150. There's not a good bid aspect. Just make sure there's open interest. But I love this one. What else do I love? Like some Sentinel. Sentinel has really like this is in a downtrend. Like I didn't bring this part up today, but you can see like I like to look for stocks that are generally in an uptrend, especially if there's enough premium. So SoFi meets that. Um, D Wave. D Wave meets that. It's an uptrend. I did start a small position here in Sentinel One. It is in a downtrend, but I like to think of this like, hey, maybe a little bit better value. Okay, but generally speaking, you want to see like bottom left to upper right bullish trend on the stock that you're selling on. Like think about it from a real estate perspective. You know, you want to see a bullish trend in the long term. You like to see some good earnings. You want to know, hey, are there dividends? And then you can enter the wheels. You guys know what the wheel is, where you sell a put, you get put the shares. It's okay to get put the shares. You know, it's fine. You wanted the shares, get put the shares. I see you smiling. You know, I'm talking to you. It's okay. We get put the shares. It's going to be all right. We're going to collect the dividend. We're going to sell the cover call. We're going to get called away and we're all going to laugh. It doesn't feel good. Like, I'm joking about this. It doesn't feel good when you lose money in the short term, but just have a longer term perspective. If you have a longer term perspective, everything feels better. Like the apartment complex that you buy, if it's not cash flowing in the beginning, just think a little bit longer. Let's just use the Kathy Woods 5 years from now. 5 years from now, it's going to be better. So these are 4 stocks that I would start a wheel on right now. I know that Ford is boring. I get that Ford's boring, but it's boring for a reason. I know this looks like it's I know it looks like it's moving a lot, but when you actually go down to like a normal price. You know how you can expand the axes and make them look bigger? Like when you expand this down, you can see like Ford has been range bound from 12. Look, it traded down to 8 like in the tariff scare. Okay, I get that. But look, Ford has been between basically 12 and 11 since 2024. That's why there's not a lot of premium in it. But hey, think about the long term. You're collecting a little bit of money and you're getting paid pretty decent dividend on Ford, 30 cents on $11 stock.
Yeah, pay a dividend, but so I can't do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
So get in on the dividends, especially if you see the dividends coming up. Great time to get in on Ford. Maybe wait till after earnings on Ford, okay? I don't know how they're going to do. They do have a cool electric F-150. I know that's super random, but it looks cool.
I actually know someone who has one.
Do you? I'm not totally jealous. I would love one. The only thing I don't like is I have a Tesla and the Fords charge differently, so they end up blocking two superchargers.
Oh,
And
okay.
I look at them ugly, but I still want one, so it's jealous. Any other questions? It was really great to talk to you guys tonight. I know we have like 7 more minutes. This hour has just flown by. Um,
I guess my main question really is I live in Canada, so I don't have all the lovely options for
okay,
different brokers to use. So I'm using interactive brokers because that seemed to be the best choice.
sure.
Uh, basically, we can do all the. I know I've done covered calls before, but not for a
Uh-huh.
while. And basically,
Okay,
we can do, or I can do any option strategy with
sure.
interactive brokers, right?
Yes, yes, you can. The only thing with interactive brokers, um, I know I see Ben's putting in the chat as well. He uses interactive brokers. The only thing about interactive brokers, Nancy, and you've probably already noticed, it's not intuitive to use. Sam's saying that they're using it too. It's not as intuitive. Like the only thing Tasty Trade has had a little bit of an issue the last week. They moved their data center. Long story. I love their platform. It's so freaking simple. They make it like they put the buys and the sells here in the bid and the ask. Um, IBKR is great. I love it too. I've used them in the past. You can absolutely do it. I hear that they have a light version that kind of looks a little bit more like a regular brokerage. Yes, Nancy, you can do that. There's no problem in doing that. Um, and look at it, y'all. I didn't bring this up. It wasn't on my watch. Look at Hims too. Like Hims has really good options. Like in the 4 day, you can buy Hims at 53.50, sell the 30 Delta, make $90 in 4 days renting out your shares, make $400 plus 90 in 4 days. Like that's the biggest risk you're going to have. So there are a lot of really good options in the stocks I brought up. But great question, everybody. Any other questions? We
I have to
good?
make just one comment. Taste Trade was trying to get to Canada and they decided to stop. They're not
Oh,
doing
I
it.
know. I heard. Hey, it wasn't their fault.
No, I know. It's totally Canada. It was regulations. It's so baloney.
Hey,
Yeah.
where do you live in Canada? Because I love Vancouver.
I live in Calgary, so I'm in Alberta. Yeah.
Um, I went to.
I'm on the
I'm
other
sorry.
side of the mountains.
I
So,
get it. I get sidetracked very easily. I went to Vancouver, Nancy, and I thought they were putting. And everyone was so nice to me. I thought they were putting on an act. Like
oh God,
I,
no. That's
they
how we
they were
are.
just the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I have to say about you guys is you don't like ice cubes. I don't know what it is
Like
about ice cubes, but I
ice
love
cream?
ice cubes. So
Like in your water, you mean?
yeah, it was like it was 100 degrees there. I'm sorry, I don't do Celsius, but it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and I had to walk like 2 miles. And I was like, "Hey, I would love a glass of water." And they're like, "Sure, man, that's really good to see you." And they gave me a glass of water with a single ice cube. It's like,
Yeah, well, I don't know what to say
do
about
you have
that.
ice cubes in Calgary?
Oh, of course, but I don't really use them either because I don't really.
See?
Your body actually uses the water better when it's warm,
Yeah, I've heard that. That's what they were telling me. I was like, okay, I'm from Alabama. I like ice cubes.
and
Sorry.
that's allowed. Yeah, yeah.
You guys in
Sorry.
Canada are so nice. I need to get up to Canada more often. All
Yeah,
right,
you got
guys.
here. It's a beautiful country, honestly.
It
Like you got to come to the
is.
Rocky Mountains. It's gorgeous.
I want to go to Banff.
Yeah, that's just an hour away from where I am.
I'll meet you in Banff.
Yeah,
Let's
you
go.
tell me when.
I'll bring the ice cubes. I'll bring a tray. I'll bring
I
ice
will
cubes.
even bring. Well, I can't bring ice creams. I can buy them for you though.
It's okay. See, you guys in Canada are too nice. It's what it is. It's not even an act.
No, you're right.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I got off track. I got off. That's it. Leave it to me to get
That
off
was
track.
my fault. I take the blame.
Yeah, it definitely was. You're right, A. Yes. I don't even know how to say it right. Okay, I can't even try. All right, guys. This was great. I'm really excited to see you guys. I know I keep talking about the inner circle and I keep talking about the income, Mr. Money Maxwell / income. The reason I'm talking about it is because I know I can help you guys. I'll wrap it up with this one extra chart, the spreadsheet when I can get rid of the Zoom toolbar. So every week in the inner circle, I just give out one trade idea, one contract, and we just take the trade. Right now, $200 a year, we're up almost $1,400. This isn't even accurate because this one strangle that I'm in right now, I think it's up like $500. So we're actually closer to $2,000 over the last 18, 19 weeks. So if you want help, I'm here to help you. Sign up for income. It's Mr. Money Maxwell / income's totally free. Give you my checklist, 3-part mini series. Melissa said it was great. What else do I have to say? All right, it was good to see you guys. I'm going to set up there's going to be another one of these. We're going to talk about dividend stocks in about a month. I'll see you guys then. It was great to have everyone here. And with that, I'm going to say good night and see you guys
Thanks,
next time.
Justin.